once said, "A library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It is a never-failing spring in the desert." Public libraries, they're all around us. A place to check out books, a place to read, to study. But most of us don't realize that public libraries are much more than that. Through my experience through my town's public library called the Monrovia Public Library, and with the help of the librarians who work there, I am able to give you reasons to why you should visit a public library. So I will first begin by talking about why people visit public libraries today. Then I will talk to you about the things that occur at a public library. And lastly, I will talk to you about volunteering as a reason to visit a public library. So I will first talk about why people visit public libraries. People visit public libraries for many reasons, but one major reason is printed books. In an interview with Annette Simpson, a youth librarian at the Monrovia Public Library on November 17th, she said, quote, "Most people that I have talked about this question say they want to hold a book. They don't want to hold an e-reader because the smell of a book, the actual holding of a book, and turning the pages of a book, people still enjoy that, and they are free." So for that reason, that's how most of us are. We like the sense of touch. We like the sense of smell. We also like free stuff. I mean, you can check out about 15 to 30 books at a public library, and it won't cost you a cent, unless you forget to return it back on the due date. Another reason why people visit public libraries is the library environment. In an interview with Anush Balion, a youth librarian at the Monrovia Public Library on November 17th, she said, quote, "It is a very nice place to read, study, take a break from everything. There are also librarians who will go out of their way to help you with any questions or problems," which is true. The library has comfortable areas to do all the following. When you visit a library, there's always a librarian there to welcome you, to make you feel warm and welcome. They're also friendly. Also, they have free services such as Wi-Fi, computers, and printers that anybody in the general public can have access to. For example, here we see an example of one of those free services, computers, which anybody can just come in at any time and use free. Here we have an example of a nice and relaxing place where you could just study or read or just relax and hang out with your friends. Now that I talked to you about why people visit public libraries, I will next talk to you about the things that occur at a public library. There are many things that occur at a public library that we sometimes don't realize. Those are activities, programs, and events. They are for all ages, and they are a great way to have fun with your friends and family, and they are free to the general public. For example, at my public library, we have holiday programs. Here we have Santa reading to the children a book. In another picture, we have kids interested in our 3D printing program, which is very popular today among young people. Lastly, we even have adults who enjoy the public library, such as through our arts and crafts program. But there's also another event that occurs at a public library, and that is the summer reading program. In an interview with Blanca Ramirez, a youth librarian at the Monrovia Public Library on November 10th, she said, quote, "The summer reading program is where children, teens, adults are able to win prizes for the reading that they do. Also, in a booklet provided by the Monrovia Public Library, which provides information about the summer reading program. It is an annual event that occurs every summer. It is free to all and for all ages. It helps in what they call a summer slide, where people, mostly children, tend to lack on their reading skills during break time. For that reason, they created this program in order to help people read, but also win prizes such as toys, coupons, and books." Here we have an example of one of our programs, the Lego program, where kids can create things out of Legos. Here we have another program, our cooking program, where children are able to create certain types of foods such as sushi, as you can see right here. Now that I talked to you about the things that occur at a public library, I will lastly talk to you about volunteering as a reason to visit a public library. Volunteering at a public library is a great reason. In an interview with Stephanie Ramirez, a youth librarian at the Monrovia Public Library on November 10th, she said, "It is a great way to be involved, to help decide what the library does, and feel connected, since it is good experience and it looks good and it helps you connect with so many people," which is true. I myself have volunteered at my own public library over 200 hours for the past 2 years. You are able, through what they call the Teen Advisory Board. Through that, you are able to give up your own time for the community and the general public to help the library, to aid them in whatever task they may need help in. such as activities, programs, etc. Also, it benefits you because you develop work skills, communication skills, and you get public service hours, which you can use when you apply to things such as scholarships, colleges. Now that I talked, and here's an example, a few pictures of the volunteers at my public library, as well as myself on the far right in the middle. Now that I talked to you about why people visit a public library through volunteering, I will now conclude things up. I first talked to you about why people visit public libraries, then I talked to you about the things that occur at a public library, and lastly I talked to you about why volunteering is a great reason to visit a public library. There are so many things that occur at a public library that we sometimes don't realize because we don't visit. They're like hidden treasures. And for that reason, I want you to visit a public library. And before I officially conclude this speech, I would like to give a big thanks to the librarians who helped me craft this speech, such as Youth Librarian Blanca Ramirez, Anush Balian, Youth Librarians Annette Simpson, who provided most of the pictures, Stephanie Ramirez, and lastly, Youth Librarian Supervisor Elizabeth Snyder, who all work at the Monrovia Public Library.